Herren, der Orient-Express fährt jetzt in Richtung Wien, Budapest, Belgrad und Konstantinopel ab. Bitte alle einsteigen.
Hello, welcome back to the Last Express. We just left Munich, the guns are on the train. It's noon, and a plan is in place. Kronos has a plan to steal the Firebird from Anna Wolf's room, though we don't know how he plans on accomplishing this. But we, of course, know that the Firebird is in Tatiana's room. And the young Russians are playing chess.
Трюк, достойный вашего деда.
Ну почему вы все время вспоминаете дедушку? Ведь вы же со мной играете, а не с ним.
Он вас хорошо играть научил.
I've had other teachers since then, Alexei Sergeyevich. I'm not a little girl anymore.
No, you're not.
There's actually a new person on the train who got on in Munich, and in the dining car, we can overhear him chatting with the train conductor.
Just goes to show you. I understand Count Obolensky was quite ill during the night.
He's much better today, monsieur. Fortunately, we had a doctor on board.
A doctor? Not a Russian doctor?
No, sir. An American. Monsieur Whitney.
How interesting. Is he actually treating the Count, then?
He has given him a sedative, monsieur.
Sedative?
I believe a sort of herbal tea.
Oh, well, I'm sure he knows what he's doing. Still, it does seem a little irregular. Not that we English see anything wrong with a cup of tea. It can do wonders for an upset stomach. Still, one rather expects to see the usual paraphernalia. The doctor's bag instills confidence and so on. Given the importance of the patient, I mean. I suppose Mr. Whitney is travelling with quite a bit of luggage.
Monsieur?
Oh, you know, so many Americans do.
I cannot say, monsieur.
Must be the fellow I passed just now in the smoking car. Rather young, isn't he, for a doctor?
I believe he is young, yes.
I must say, he didn't look at all like the usual sort of American one expects to see on these trains. You know, flashing money about. Quite the opposite, in fact. Rather unusual for a young fellow like that to book a double compartment, prices being what they are and all that. Wouldn't you say?
I do not know, monsieur.
Well, I suppose he wants his privacy. Nothing wrong with that.
Monsieur, I really must return now.
No, of course, of course. Don't let me keep you.
Thank you, monsieur. Au revoir. Premier service.
And this man seems quite suspicious of Kath, not unjustifiably. Oddly enough, our aim is the same as Kronos's. We want to steal the Firebird, and whatever chicanery Kronos is going to use, we hope that it will enable us to retrieve it before Kahina catches on to where it is. We don't yet know what that chicanery is going to be. In the meantime, we can just continue to walk around and eavesdrop on people and learn about our fellow passengers. With a new day brings a new newspaper. These are just some stories from Great Britain's internal politics. Nothing that really interests us, I don't think. Other than Kath, we remember, appears to sympathize with Ireland in its struggle against England.
Теперь мы в расчете.
О, как вам не стыдно выигрывать при помощи такой гадкой ловушки?
Вот уж типично женская реакция.
Сыграем еще раз.
Miss Wolf, please let me help you.
Oh, thank you.
Every time I see you, I am happy that I took this train and not the next one. Are you comfortable there?
Oh, yes.
You don't want to change seats?
Oh, no. No.
Good. What shall we order? Shall we get some wine?
That would be lovely.
I think good red wine, yes? Oh, forgive me. Perhaps you would like something lighter?
My father
Excusez-moi,
drank
monsieur.
red wine, and I'm afraid I picked up the habit. I know it's not very ladylike.
Nonsense. We will be able to share a bottle. I hope I will not get drunk.
Why?
Oh, I'm turning into a happy little devil, especially when I am surrounded by a beautiful lady.
You are a charmer.
Well, the unlikely romance between Schmidt and Anna Wolf seems to continue.
Madame and I will have both the roast chicken and we begin with the fish soup.
Oh, thank you.
and a bottle of your best Chateau Lafite 1904.
Very good, monsieur.
On the train, the wine is ruined anyway by the vibration.
All men are experts on all things during dates.
Vienna. But didn't you say you were going to Constantinople?
Yes, but my plans have changed. Business.
Must you really get off in Vienna?
You make me feel very sorry to do so, madame.
I was looking forward to enjoying your company for the whole journey.
Schmidt seems to be backing out of our deal if we can't get him the money by the Vienna stop, which is about 3 hours from now. At least that seems to be what he's suggesting in a backhanded way to Anna, knowing that we're in earshot. So we'd better keep in mind that we only have 3 hours to get the gold. But we need to wait around right now for Kronos to hatch his plan. So let's finish reading the paper. This story talks about a riot in St. Petersburg, obviously foreshadowing the Red Revolution in 1917. This riot is a remnant of the 1905 revolution, which landed Vladimir Lenin in prison. This is another story in the daily soap opera of Henriette Caillot. Today, Joseph Caillot's friend Pascal Cacaldi talked about the Fabre Memorandum, which was this document that really showed how corrupt Joseph was. And the prosecution was using that to argue that Henriette had murdered Calmette, not to cover up the seedy details of her affair with her current husband, but rather to cover up his political corruption. So the prosecutor was dragging Joseph's name through the mud.
Je ne vois pas pourquoi vous avez à partager votre compartiment avec cet Anglais. La compagnie n'aurait-elle pas pu...
И ваш ход, барышня?
Dans ma profession, il est parfois nécessaire
Шахмат?
de s'habituer à des conditions de vie.
C'est exactement...
И вам не стыдно, что женщина так легко вас обыграла?
Я бы запросто выиграл, если бы не ход конем.
Как же?
Pourquoi ne sommes-nous pas restés à Villefranche? Notre situation était enviable. Notre petite maison était si jolie. Y aura-t-il des jardins à Abadan?
Le désert n'est pas réputé pour ses jardins, mais pour son pétrole.
Et quand il n'y aura plus de pétrole, François sera aussi sauvage qu'un nomade du désert. Il est déjà tellement impossible. Il rampe par terre et ramasse toujours les choses les plus sales.
Maman, regarde à la fenêtre. Il y a un cimetière.
Le sol est un endroit naturel pour trouver des insectes.
Oh, il est impossible.
a nice table for you right here in the corner.
Thank you.
Enjoy your lunch, monsieur.
The piano is a little bit more difficult.
C'est vraiment incroyable. Je vais à tout prix parler au chef de file.
Est-ce que c'est elle assise avec les gros yeux?
François, je t'ordonne de
Afraid you would find it rather boring, but without going into detail, I will say that my work here is not only commerce, and that in my own small way I'm doing my part for the fatherland.
And that exchange between Anna and Schmidt seemed like Anna was pressing him for information, and Schmidt averred that he was serving Germany. I wonder if that's true. The new guy is seated next to us. Let's have a chat.
Mind if I join you?
No, by all means. I don't believe we've been introduced. George Abbott.
Tyler Whitney.
What foul weather. Can't seem to get out of this storm. It must be raining all across Europe. Quite remarkable, really. I understand you made friends with the Obolenskys. You must introduce me. I'm fascinated by Russia. That was quite a scare you had last night. The chef de train told me you handled it quite well. You didn't happen to notice whether the other Russian fellow, what's his name, the young fellow, was hanging about?
I don't recall seeing him.
I'm afraid the old man has quite lost his head. Still, he has played a role for years as a sort of informal ambassador for the Tsar, if you know what I mean. I didn't know you were a doctor.
And you?
Oh, I'm travelling on business. Every now and then the company has a little matter to take care of on the continent, so off I go. Isn't she enchanting? That violinist, Miss Wolf. She seems to be getting on rather well with Herr Schmidt. Not her type, I would have thought. Rather a surprise to see Herr Schmidt here. One would think he'd have his hands full back in Germany, what with his factories stepping up production and all that. Such an industrious people, the Germans. I wonder what business he has in the East. But you haven't told me a thing about yourself. Will you be going far?
All the way to Constantinople.
Oh, how lovely. Business or pleasure?
Actually, I'm traveling for my health.
Yes, so nice to get away from one's troubles, assuming one has any. New climates, new horizons and all that. Of course, I don't need to tell you that, you being a doctor. Quite a coincidence your being a doctor, and an American, I mean. When I boarded at Munich, the police were looking for an American doctor who'd got away from the police in Paris. Apparently he's mixed up with those Irish fanatics, Home Rule and all that, the ones that killed that policeman. Papers were full of it. Anyhow, it seems that this young doctor is in quite a bit of trouble.
Don't believe everything you read in the papers.
No, but I do. It's so much more fun that way. Still, it's none of my concern. I say, that jacket looks a bit short of the arms. Was it a French tailor who took it in for you?
I think I'll go check on the Oblinskis.
Yes, of course. Look forward to seeing you again. What a pleasant fellow.
Holy moly. So George Abbott just dropped a whole lot of hints in that short conversation. Schmidt and Anna's relationship being odd, Schmidt being a factory owner, and Abbott almost certainly knowing that Kath is impersonating Tyler Whitney, even noting that the sleeves on his jacket are too short for him.
Почему вы ушли из университета? Вы себе не представляете, какая дома поднялась тюрьма?
В университете мы все говорили, договорили. Разговорами сыт не будешь. Words are lost in the air like the sound of church bells. A single deed is better propaganda than 1,000 pamphlets.
Замечательные слова. Ваш ход.
Tatiana sort of taunting Alex there, since for all his talk about revolution, all he seems to be doing right now is talk about revolution. I wonder if she would prefer him to be protesting or blowing things up, but we don't know much about their relationship, such as it is.
I know, I don't show it.
Shall we have a coffee in the smoking car?
That would be lovely.
Shall we sit here?
Разговоры о политических партиях. Это все делается правящим классом для показухи. Всякое правительство рабства. Все они стоят одно другого.
Ну вот вы все развалили, а подумали вы о том, что будет возведено взамен?
Ничего не понадобится возводить взамен тирании. Как только частная собственность будет упразднена, все люди станут равными и свободными. Новое мирное общество образуется само по себе.
Вы так и не сделали.
Nur Zucker, bitte. 2 Stück.
Ah, you like it sweet.
Fräulein Wolf, it is a privilege to meet so talented an artist. My name is Kronos.
Your Excellency, you do me a great honor.
My car is equipped with a piano. I wonder if you would do me the favor of joining me in a duet. It will help pass the time on this rather long journey.
What a splendid idea!
Shall we say 3 o'clock?
I shall count the minutes until then. Good day.
Is it very tiresome, your business in Vienna?
Oh, well, you know, you always hope that a man will keep his word. When he does not, One hates to lose a good bit of business, but man kann nicht anders.
Also dann kommt Ihr Geschäft nicht zustande? Ist es abgesagt?
Deuxième service. Deuxième service. Le déjeuner est servi. Lunch is served. Deuxième service.
Pourquoi? Allez, viens.
I too studied music in my youth. If I may say so, I was not without promise. Alas, life had other plans for me.
We are none of us free to
Послушать
choose our own
вас,
destiny,
так все
Herr
вокруг
Schmidt.
плохо. Вы только и хотите, что все развалить.
Когда люди наподобие вашего деда вершат жизнью и смертью миллионов русских людей, кто-то должен их свергнуть.
Ой, это просто поразительно. Вы же одержимы дедушкой. За что вы его так ненавидите?
За то, что он сделал с Россией.
I'd better get ready for the
С нами со
concert
всеми.
now.
I will be in the front row.
You're very kind, Herr Schmidt.
Please call me August.
Anna in that scene sort of noticeably calculating what to do, what to say to Kronos, and then immediately pressing Schmidt for answers even harder than before. So something is afoot. Kronos' plan is to get Anna out of her room with a long concert in his private car, and we would gather that that long concert will allow Kahina to sneak out and steal the Firebird. But how does he intend to get the dog, Anna's dog, out of the way? I mean, I suppose Kahina could just kill the dog, but maybe that's too risky, or it would be too loud and the attendant would hear. The concert is going to get Anna out of her room. And assuming Kronos is as crafty as we think he is, also getting rid of the dog, Kahina is going to search Anna's room, but she's not going to find anything. But once that happens, after she leaves, we ourselves are free to search Anna's room, which we can enter through Rebecca and Sophie's room next door, assuming that they're not in the room. Kahina already has a way to open the doors, so she probably didn't steal the master key. I bet the master key is in somewhere in Anna's room. And if we can find that, we can get the Firebird from Tatiana's room, assuming that she also is in her room. A lot of things actually hinge on who Kronos decides to invite to this concert that he's giving.
Excuse me.
Ah, Herr Whitney. The merchandise has been loaded onto the train. I have fulfilled my part of the bargain. I want to see the gold.
Our agreement included delivery of the arms in Belgrade. We're not in Belgrade yet.
Herr Whitney, since I boarded this train, I have begun to feel that things are not as they should be. If you cannot reassure me, I intend to get off in Vienna and take my merchandise with me. Guten Tag!
So there's Schmidt following up on his implied threat to get off in Vienna with a direct ultimatum to Kath. So he wants to see the money. It's interesting that he's getting suspicious about us and not the conspicuously gorgeous and mysterious woman who is improbably spending lots of time with him while constantly pumping him for information about his dealings.
Bonjour, monsieur. Notre client, son Excellence le Prince, organise un concert cet après-midi.
Excuse me.
Madame Wolfe jouera une offre pour violon. Il souhaite la compagnie de certains passagers. Voici la liste. Le spectacle est prévu pour 3 heures. Assurez-vous que les désirs de son Excellence soient respectés.
Monsieur le comte Obolensky, sa petite fille, mademoiselle de Breteuil et son amie. Très bien, monsieur, je m'en occupe. Excusez-moi, monsieur. Excusez-moi.
Okay, Tatiana, Vasily, Rebecca, and Sophie are invited to the concert. Let's duck into Rebecca's room real quick.
Dear friend, last night my seductress allowed me to sit by the side of her bed for a long while and brush her hair. How happy I was. Her embrace pulled me into a dream, far away from my old, upholstered world. At last, un vrai intime, in this fragile, rattling old box racing into the future.
She goes on. Then she made me sleep up above. There I lay, guarding her slumber like an old and faithful dog. She is beautiful in her sleep. We joked about our fellow travelers. There's a fat German businessman with a little red mouth. He speaks very loudly to the waiter and strokes the lapels of his jacket with plump fingers. In the corridor I passed a dark, seedy young student type, Russian I think, who was rather self-consciously carrying a copy of Also Sprach Zarathustra. There are 2 other Russians in our car, an old gentleman traveling with a lovely young schoolgirl. Madame Bouturel tells me he is a count and some sort of cousin of the Tsar, at least I think so, as her English is hardly better than my French. I forgot to mention Madame Bouturel. She and her son are in the compartment next to ours, with her husband across the way. Isn't marriage wonderful? Monsieur Bouturel is an engineer of some sort, and he's taking them all to live in some little town in Persia. Madame Bouturel grits her teeth when she talks about it, emphasizing the importance of her husband's work. I told her it may not be as bad as she expects, although of course it'll probably be worse. At least in the desert, their little boy will be able to make all the racket he wants without bothering anyone. Madame Bouturel also mentioned that a real harem and its guard, a eunuch, are traveling in the first sleeping car. We have seen little of them. Sophie says we should sneak into their chambers after dinner, but I think their guard would see this in a very dim light. Just down the corridor is a compartment filled with gypsies with execrable manners and rough clothing. One, I think, is clearly a woman traveling disguised as a man, flashing eyes and a nasty expression. How can they afford a first-class sleeper? Oh, what a snob I've become suddenly. I don't imagine I could ask them, but I'm sure Madame Bouturel will find out. To be complete, I suppose I must mention the American, earnest, square-shouldered, quite uninteresting. But I have saved the best for last. She is a dark, severe Venus, traveling alone. The conductor tells me that she is Anna Wolf, the concert violinist, very self-possessed, solitary, dreadful dark mauve hat with 2 peaks in it. She looks like a cardinal in sateen. Yet she is surprisingly sociable to the fat German. How debasing it must be to be a professional artist and have to keep up good connections. I would love to talk to her, but as usual, I do not dare. Imagine to be an artist and travel throughout Europe alone. Sophie tells me I lack confidence. Ah well, I suppose one is far too likely to ascribe all kinds of dramatic stories to people on trains who are merely traveling about their business. But I have spent too many afternoons at endless teas with pleasant people whose kindness is all the same. I need adventure. Underneath everything is the rocking sound of the train receding into the back of everyone's consciousness. Last night, apparently, there was quite a little drama, though of course Sophie and I missed it all. The Russian count had some sort of seizure and is very ill. It must be horrible for his granddaughter. Sophie is trying to console her personally. She says she will be one of the greatest heiresses in Europe, and it would do no harm to become better acquainted. But then Sophie has always had a tendresse for the young and helpless. Miss Wolf has taken the little princess in hand. I'm sure she will be much better off with her help.
But of course, mademoiselle.
Popping out of the window, we see Miss Wolf is changing into her concert clothing. Not included on Kronos' list was the Bouturel family, so I guess they're not invited. I wonder why Kronos chose the people that he did.
Oui, madame.
Cette fois-ci, ça suffit. Il faut faire quelque chose avec ce chien.
Je suis désolé, madame. Madame a été dérangée?
Les odeurs, les aboiements, c'en est trop. Un chien de petite taille, peut-être. Un caniche serait supportable. Mais un monstre pareil, et avec un petit garçon dans le compartiment voisin.
Je suis terriblement désolé, madame. J'insisterai auprès de madame Wolf pour qu'elle surveille son chien.
Mais non, voyons. Vous savez bien que c'est impossible. Ce chien devait être en cage dans la soute à bagages, tout simplement. Je dois dire que je suis très surprise qu'une compagnie aussi respectable satisfasse avec tant d'indulgence les caprices de créatures excentriques, d'artistes, au point d'ignorer ses clients les plus respectables. Je pensais avoir acheté un billet pour un train de grand luxe, pas un ticket pour le cirque.
Je comprends, madame. Votre opinion est entièrement justifiée. Je vais en parler au chef de train immédiatement.
Je souhaite que vous fassiez plus que lui parler. Je souhaite vivement que cet animal soit expulsé des voitures-lits. M'avez-vous comprise?
Oh oui, madame.
And there, Madame Bouturel demanded that Anna's dog be put in the baggage car. Now, could it be that Kronos is so crafty that he knew by snubbing the frankly petty Madame Bouturel, this would cause her to demand that Anna's dog be put in the baggage car? It's a little far-fetched, but if he did, he appears to have calculated correctly.
Qu'est-ce que je peux faire pour vous?
Je suis désolé, mais l'une des passagères s'est plainte du compagnon de voyage de madame Wolf. Pour être plus précis, madame Boutarel.
C'est très gênant. Vous n'avez pas réussi à l'amadouer.
C'est délicat. Vous comprenez, madame Boutarel et son mari ne sont pas invités au concert de madame Wolf. Rien n'est pire qu'une femme vexée. Et je crois bien qu'elle ne soit pas prête à abandonner.
Dommage. Les règles sont les règles. Annoncer la triste nouvelle à madame Bouffe et emmener son chien dans le compartiment à bagages.
Moi, monsieur?
Oui, vous. Pourquoi? Vous avez peur des chiens?
Non, monsieur. J'adore les animaux.
Alors c'est très bien. Faites pour le mieux. Et surtout, présentez nos excuses à madame Wolf. Souvenez-vous qu'elle est l'une de nos meilleures clientes. Elle a voyagé dans ce train plus souvent que vous.
Je le sais, monsieur.
Okay, so that attendant sure thinks that Madame Bouturel is only demanding that the dog be moved because she was snubbed.
Bonjour, monsieur.
Excusez-moi, madame. Excusez-moi, Monsieur Whitney. Prince Kronos wishes to invite you to a concert in his private car. Madame Wolf will play the violin.
And he wants me to be there.
Oh yes, monsieur. 3 o'clock. His Excellency was most eager that you should attend.
Ah, we also are invited. Kronos wants us in the concert, presumably so we can't interfere with Gehenna. We have 50 minutes until the concert starts.
Bonjour, monsieur. Pardonnez-moi.
Ja, wer ist da?
C'est le conducteur, madame.
Come in.
Excusez-moi, madame. Je suis vraiment désolé. But we have received a complaint about the barking.
Oh no.
Of course, for you we have always made an exception. But now that a passenger has complained...
Must he go to the baggage car?
The passenger has insisted, madame. What can I do?
Just a moment. Oh, mein Kleiner, sei nicht traurig. Es wird dir schon gut gehen im Gepäckwagen. Komm her, mein Schatz. Oh, na komm.
Forgive me, madame.
You make sure there's plenty of water. He really doesn't like the baggage car.
Of course, madame. You are kind. I'm very, very sorry.
If we head down here as far as we can go into the baggage car, we can hear Anna's dog Max barking. The attendant has stashed the dog at the front of the train. Let's remember that. Claude and Abbott have to share a car. It almost makes you think that Abbott getting on the train wasn't planned.
Bonjour, monsieur.
And we'll check on Alex. He's reading, maybe his Nietzsche, I guess. Rebecca sort of called Alex out as a proto-hipster in her diary.
Who is this prince? That's what I'd like to know.
I don't think he's a prince of anything.
It all sounds very mysterious. Why do you think he invited us and not Madame Bouturel?
It's very simple. He's a snob. He does not know me. He only knows my name, de Breteuil. He thinks to invite the noblesse to make himself important. That's why he does not invite some petit bourgeois like the Bouturel. But he invites the Comte Oblonsky, who does not know.
Then you don't think we should accept?
Why not? It will be less boring than listening to Madame Bouturel.
Did I tell you what she said to me this morning? Apparently the reason she and her husband aren't sharing a compartment is that... Excuse me.
Tu reviens?
Yes, I won't be a minute.
Bon, d'accord. Je t'attends.
And I try to follow Rebecca, but she just disappears. I don't know where she reappears, if anywhere. It might be one of those things where a character is somewhere we can't access.
Excuse me, monsieur. Mademoiselle de Breteuil and Miss Norton are not in.
Not in her room.
Excuse me, got a light?
Je ne parle pas l'anglais, monsieur.
Es tut mir wirklich leid, dass ich Sie belästige. Und ich bin sicher, es gibt überhaupt keinen Grund zu sorgen. Und wissen Sie, wenn der Max hier wäre, wäre es mir auch vollkommen egal.
Excusez-moi. Excusez-moi.
Excusez-moi, madame.
Anna there having the attendant lock her door, though of course that won't keep out Kahina. But it also won't keep us out. .2:37, only 23 minutes until the concert starts. We're going to see the participants start moving about the train in preparation, at least the ones who were invited.
Tu es parti longtemps.
Was I? I'm sorry. Were you terribly bored?
Yes.
I told Madame Bouturel about the concert and she was absolutely livid.
Okay, Rebecca is lying there. I've followed her around after this scene, and she never goes anywhere near Madame Bouturel during this time. And she also isn't in her room. I've checked there too. And in fact, I've looked through all of the game files, and she doesn't have any sequence or scenes other than some of the ones that we've seen. She doesn't have any during this time period. So I'm not really sure what we're meant to think she was doing. Maybe they meant to record a scene of her talking to Madame Bouturel but never got around to filming it. I don't really know. Now, Tatiana is in her room, but we can just pop into Vasily's room, and for good measure, I'm going to check their connected bathroom for the Firebird. Nope, nothing there. Okay, that's unfortunate.
Pardonnez-moi.
Excuse me.
Excusez-moi, madame.
Pardonnez-moi,
Excusez-moi,
Would you lock
madame.
my compartment, please?
Of course, mademoiselle.
Thank you.
It's easy for you to say
Excusez-moi,
that
monsieur.
now that I have nothing
Excuse
to go
me.
back to. That's not my fault. You weren't talking like that in London. Non, c'est bon. I don't know why I did something one day and not another. But I want to tell I feel it when I don't. Je suis pas comme toi. No one's feelings can change that fast. Well, mine do. You can't treat people as if they were your toys. There are consequences, you know. I've given up a lot to come on this trip. I don't care about the things you give up. For me, that's nothing. What you give to me, what you make me feel, that's what I care about.
You won't give me a chance.
Ah, toi, tu parles toujours de sacrifices, de conséquences, d'obligations. Je m'en fiche, moi. Si j'avais voulu tout ça, j'aurais épousé Philippe. Au moins, ça aurait eu des avantages.
Well, we just heard that Rebecca's love for Sophie is both not a secret to Sophie and also not unrequited, I guess. It seems like Rebecca wants more of a commitment than Sophie is willing to give her. And Sophie is just completely unmoored from social convention and has no desire to be tied down by Rebecca. At least that's what she said there. It did sound like a fairly heated argument.
Bonjour, monsieur.
All right, 3 p.m., time for the concert. Next time on The Last Express, we'll try to get the dingus, as Sam Spade called it, by ducking out of the concert, heading off Kahina, and seizing the Firebird for ourselves. See you then.